Hey everyone, it's the interview queen, Alicia Atout here, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to my interview with Guy Cisternino. Hello,
Hey, what's going on?
how are you?
Good, happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you on. We were kind of talking before we started recording, but just for everyone viewing, how are you holding up with everything going on right now? Because I know it's been a little bit rocky.
Yeah, man, I'm in Jersey, so I'm in like right in the center of like the masses with all this stuff. But they
Yeah.
just announced today that the gyms are opening back up in New York on the 24th, and normally we follow suit. But it's been 5 months. It's been rough. I luckily have had the ability to be able to train. It's one of you have some perks being a professional athlete, and you get kind of ins with certain gym owners. So I was lucky enough that one of the gym owners in town allowed me to train at my leisure. So that's pretty cool. So my life really hasn't changed besides the fact that I just haven't traveled. I'm able to still do my job like you. It just I don't have to really leave my house anymore. Besides just going to the gym.
I remember once we actually realized we were on lockdown or in lockdown, and so many people just ran to Amazon to try to get all their home gym equipment and everything. So the fact that you already kind of had something settled and you didn't have to go through that manic panic everyone did, like that's a really solid thing to have had in your pocket.
Yeah, and the inflation of all the prices of gym equipment I heard was like through the roof. So yeah, I didn't have to do any of that nonsense. Thank God.
Yeah, we kind of had like a decent setup in the basement, but we obviously bought like a bunch of other stuff since we had nowhere to go and work out. But man, the prices on some stuff was just not cool.
I genuinely felt bad for people that couldn't work out. So I didn't even post a single workout video the entire quarantine. Huh?
I said, that's so kind.
Because I was watching other pros post videos of gyms that they were like allowed to train at, and people were getting really like nasty and felt like really disrespected that they were kind of like almost bragging that they had a gym. So I kind of took the high road. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be that guy to piss anybody off. So I'm just going to do my job, but I just won't post, you know?
Right. Well, it cracked me up when you recently said like Groundhog Day 124, shit's getting old. So what are you kind of
Oh,
doing?
on Twitter?
Yeah, I saw that and it just made me laugh because I think everyone has thought that. Like it literally feels
Yeah.
like you wake up, you do your daily thing. It's so repetitive now, especially without the traveling.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's starting to definitely, I can definitely see it affecting like certain people in my life. I can see the being home and like the way they're acting. Like I could see it start affecting like their person. You know what I'm saying? Like the world being shut down for this long is starting to like really mess with people's mental state a little bit. And I can see it in certain individuals in my life. I'm like, man, it's a world better opens up before you have a breakdown.
No, definitely. I mean, what were some of the things that you found yourself doing to just keep away from boredom and kind of keep that sanity? Because I've found everyone's kind of finding new vices and new hobbies just to, keep let the days kind of pass by quicker, these Groundhog Days.
I picked up. I wanted to like. I love country music, and I never really learned any instruments, so I bought a guitar. So I've been taking guitar lessons from somebody that does lessons. That is one of my doctor's son is a guitar player. He's phenomenal. So he's been giving me lessons. I've been doing more of my hobbies. Like I fished a lot more. There's a huge stream down by me, so I did a lot of fishing. I did a lot more hands-on yard work because it was hard for me to do projects around my house when I'm traveling so much because I'm usually gone every week, and if I'm not gone like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes I'm gone all week. So it's hard to constantly start and stop projects. So just being home, I was able to do the projects that I normally wasn't able to really get done around my house and around my yard. So that was cool. And I spent a lot more time with my dogs. My dogs, they have it rough. Like I'm around them all the time, but when I'm home, but I travel a lot. So they get they have a little separation anxiety. So I'm home with them. They're happy. So
That's awesome. I know it was one of my favorite things when I was traveling, is just coming home to my dog afterwards. It sounds so silly, but it's so true when you're gone.
I tell everybody, I'm like, having a dog is like the best because like no matter whether I leave my house for 5 minutes or I leave my house for 5 hours, they act like they haven't seen me in a year every time, and it's like the best thing in the world. Like they're the best. They make living a lot better.
No, definitely couldn't agree more. Well, one thing I picked up on is watching your videos. Definitely couldn't help but notice the hilarious amount of times you swear. Like it just comes so
Yeah.
natural. you just blurt it out like nonstop, and it cracks me up because I grew up in a household where we curse way too much. So
Yeah.
I've definitely noticed that fuck happens to be the favorite, or the one we use the most. So
Yeah.
is it the favorite?
Fuck is up there with like, yeah, fuck is probably 1, 2, and 3 on my list.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I don't even like people think like I don't do it to like what's crazy? As bad as a mouth I have, one of my biggest pet peeves is cursing around kids. Like you will never hear me curse around a kid. And
Same for
I
elders, like never.
yeah, and I'll actually say something to people that curse in front of kids. And but yeah, I don't know why my dad, my mom has a sailor's mouth. My dad, funny enough, doesn't. And my dad's always one yelling at me for my mouth. But yeah, it doesn't change.
And we briefly kind of touched on social media because you had mentioned people posting photos of the gym and everything. But you're really active on there, especially on Instagram during this time in quarantine. So, when it comes to bodybuilding, obviously, and I've mentioned this to a couple of other guys, but it's like you guys do look so different and so much larger than life than most people. So, what are some of the funniest comments or one of the weirdest things you've actually read about yourself through one of your social media channels?
Oh, funniest. Oof. Trying to think I mean, people call me like a garden gnome because like I'm not super tall and I have a beard for some of the year. But I funniest. Oh man, people always make fun of my ears, my height, and then it's just people just don't like me. I just get a lot of nasty comments sometimes. I have a lot of hate DMs and stuff like that, but that's whatever. I think that's just part of the part of being a professional athlete. But you're always gonna have fans that don't like you. Funniest comment, honestly, some of the funniest comments I read was the other day with the video that I put up with some of the things that these people think about. Actually, the funniest thing I thought that I've ever seen was somebody actually thought I was 6 feet tall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where did that
They were
come
like, oh
from?
man, they were like, I met you at the Arnold and you were a lot shorter. In your pictures, you look like you're 6+ feet tall. I was like, what? Because they
So
came up to me at the Arnold and they were like, I thought you were going to be like 6 feet. I go, dude, they shoot like they shoot us from a stage. Like I don't know how tall you are, but I'm 5'5.5", like right around 5'6". So I'm
I'm
not
like 5
tall.
and a half.
Yeah, so you're taller than me. See, so yeah, I'm just I usually get the short jokes.
I've noticed too, whenever I look up stats on people, it's like I find that I'm taller than a lot of the bodybuilders and wrestlers that I interview. It's one of those strange things that just comes across. And I always get the comments like, oh, you're a giant or you're this or that. So we're getting opposites, but it's kind of the same shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know. It's like there's not a lot of people that I'm friends with that are shorter than me.
Right.
It's crazy. Like I'm one of the shortest people that I know, and like my whole entire group of friends, like bodybuilding include. Yeah, yeah. There's not a lot of people shorter. I can name 1, 2, 3 guys shorter than me.
Okay.
So
It's clear that when you have a passion for something, nothing seems to get in your way. So I was wondering, is it actually true that for your first bodybuilding show, you actually sank $1,300 into the Bronco to get it working and fixed up, and you drove down to your first show? Because I can only imagine like the panic going through your mind to just beeline it there.
West Virginia, yeah, I drove. Yep. My show got canceled 9 days before. Took my Bronco into the mechanic, and I said, dude, do what you got to do. This thing's got to make it to West Virginia and back to Jersey. And $1,300 later, yeah, jumped in my Bronco and drove it right to West Virginia and competed. Yeah, my first show, 2003, 17 years ago. It's crazy.
That's nuts to think about, isn't it?
I feel so old.
I know a big part of the whole beginning journey for you is the fact that your dad like had a really great physique and was also involved in sports. So I guess you just kind of saw him growing up, and did you immediately just want to emulate it? Like you saw him and just thought like, I got to look like that.
Yeah, my dad was just always a strong guy. Like my dad was a boxer. He played football. He was a bodybuilder, or not bodybuilder, but like he worked out. And he was just strong. He had big arms. People would always challenge him in arm wrestling matches. I never saw my dad lose an arm wrestling match. And it was just like my dad was just like, I'm like, man, like my dad's jacked. And then like as time went on, I started like getting to the magazines, like, people got into like the cartoons and the superheroes, but like you said earlier, before we started, like it was almost like those guys looked that way. It's like they were a real life superhero. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, that appealed more to me than like the fake cartoon stuff that isn't accomplishable. You know what I'm saying?
I know
So
that. Oh, go ahead.
no, 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 no. I was saying, so yeah, so my dad played a huge part in that.
No, it's amazing just to have something so obvious in front of you, and kind of crazy how it just completely steers your entire life, like that one thing, that one pinnacle. It's kind
Yeah.
of bizarre to think about. But in your case, it clearly worked out because over your years in bodybuilding, you've won multiple competitions. You're a multi-time IFBB pro champ. So have you always been a seriously competitive person, or did that all come in when you started to bodybuild and realized how kind of cutthroat it happened to be?
No, I played football for 15 years, from the time I was in third grade all through college. So I was always competitive, and I did basketball, I did track, baseball. I was always competing, and when I was in I fell in love with bodybuilding in high school, and then when I was in college, my love for working out took over my love for football, and I love being in the gym more than I love being on the football field. But I just I there was times when I was playing football in college that I wanted to quit, and not that I wanted to quit because I didn't like football or because that I didn't couldn't handle it. I wanted to pursue bodybuilding so bad, but I didn't want to let my teammates down. So I wrote out my college career, and then my junior year was when I did that show with the Bronco, and I got in big trouble for that. The coaches were not happy, and that kind of, I think doing that show kind of killed my football career, because after that my playing time went down substantially. But so yeah, it was around, yeah.
Did you miss a football practice or like a big game, and that's why, or they just thought like he's
What
ditching us?
It was my junior year of college was the year that I did my first show, and I remember getting to camp. My dad dropped me off all my shit and my suitcases and bags of crap and food, and going into the dorm room. And my coach, I was like, "Hey, coach," and whatever, because this was my going on my third year playing ball there. And he was acting all nice, and I'm like, "Oh, everything's fine." Like I didn't think anything of it. And computers really weren't like a big thing. I mean, not that they weren't big, but it was like 2003, 17 years ago. It's not like super.
Wow.
It's like not around the corner. But uh, my dad leaves, and then my coach goes, "Put your stuff in your room, and then come down." He's like, "Then come to my office." I said, "Oh, okay." I figured out how to fill out a form or whatever, and I come down to his office, and he has a couple sheets of paper, and he goes like this, and he throws them at me, and they were pictures of my competition, and he goes, "You."
Gosh.
So he goes, "You didn't follow the football program." He goes, "If you look like that," and I'm like, Jesus Christ. So I got a lot of shit for that, and after that, it was just like they had a lot of animosity towards me. So.
How's that a detriment to your playing? I mean, and I'm asking from a stance of like not being in obviously bodybuilder shape, or even like to play football. Like I don't understand how that would impact it at all.
It is. I look at it back now. My coaches in college, when you start college, you're what, 18 years old. So my coaches were probably in their late 20s, and now that I'm in my like later 30s, I'm like, man, I wish like I knew now, like what I knew now back then, because like looking back, like I wish I just was, because I'm a verbal person, but I was always taught to respect my elders. But now looking back at like the guys that coached me that were like probably in their like young 30s, like they were just like a lot of just punks that just never amounted to anything, and just like were a lot of my coaches were bullies, you know, and I didn't take anybody, I didn't take their shit. So I just I always said my coaches just never liked me in college.
Yeah, I had a couple teachers like that too who were just assholes, and I wouldn't necessarily take it where a lot of other kids would. So I
Yeah.
wasn't like a troublemaker in school by any means, but I could definitely be like a bit of a dick back if someone rubbed me the wrong way. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
I've been there. It's
Yeah.
it's very frustrating because you're just standing your ground. Like if he's being an asshole, why can't? But you're
Yeah.
young and you're trying to be respectful at the same time, and it's just the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I just tried to enjoy the ride, like just being there with my friends and playing ball and enjoying it. But there was things that I sometimes look back and be like, my life would be a little different, and my body would probably be in a little better shape if I didn't play all those years. But
Right.
you learn.
But hey, exactly. It's like whatever path you took, somehow it's cheesy, but somehow brought you to where you were
Exactly.
now. So exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and have a chat. Like it's been an absolute pleasure being able to do this. I know also for like people watching, we had so much back and forth getting to this
I,
point. So
I know with the power going out and stuff, it was a nightmare.
yeah, it happened. So I'm really psyched that we were able to nail down a time and have you on. So thank you so much.
Of course, you were awesome. I appreciate it. And again, thanks for having me on.
Of course, everybody, this has been Guy Cisternino. I am the interview queen, Alicia Atout. Be sure to check out aliciaatout.com for all exclusive interviews and features, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Take care.